everybody, and welcome back to my booktube channel. And today for you guys, as you probably saw in the description, I'm going to be giving you my favorite books of 2015. Well, not giving them to you, but telling you about them. And so this isn't going to be a super long video. I'm just going to tell you the books that are my favorite of 2015. And even though it's kind of late to do that, about 4 months, but you know, it's all good. Even though it's April, who cares? I'm still getting it in, and it's better late than never. So let's get started. Oh, and before we get started, some of these books are books you haven't heard of before. Well, probably haven't heard of before. And some are common books around BookTube. But I try and keep it a little bit diverse for those authors out there who don't have people to represent their stories. And so, well, yeah, that's about it for my introduction. I ran out of words to say. Anyway, so let's get started. My first book is Anna and the French Kiss. Oh, and I forgot to tell you guys that these aren't in any particular order. They're just all my favorites of 2015. And so I have Anna and the French Kiss here, and this was a really good book. I didn't know how to go into it or what to expect, but what I got was really good from what some people would say it was. Even though it had a lot of hype around it on BookTube, what I got from this book was really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Moving on. Ever After High, Book 3, last book in the trilogy, A Wonderlandful World. So I have some problems with this book. First of all, okay, I don't want to spoil it, but I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but all I'm going to say is if you've read the first two books and you're about to start the third book, you will be thoroughly upset at the ending of this book and knowing that it's only a trilogy and there won't be a book 4. So just beware of this. Just beware, because it's heartbreaking, really. It's just, ugh. Next, I have The Wolf Princess by Catherine Constable. And this book was actually a lot better than I thought it would be. It takes place in Russia, and it's about this girl, and just mysterious things go on. It's kind of like a fantasy, but not a high fantasy. It's just kind of like a mystery. It's kind of like a mystery, but it involves more like fantasy elements, and it's really good. It was really good. It was a lot better than I expected it to be. So yeah. Oh, and I rated it 5 stars on Goodreads. I'll leave a link to my Goodreads down below if you want to follow me or friend me or whatever. But yes, and this was just, I recommend it. Go read it. Just go read it. Next, I have Ditched by Malone. Robin Malone. And this book was actually pretty good because I saw it when I was picking a book for the summer reading program last year or 2 years ago. And this book was actually pretty dynamic because the ending was like, wow. It wasn't mind-blowing wow, but it was just like, wow, really? But it was good, and I liked where the story went with it, and the characters were really well, too. Were really well developed. Well, kind of well developed. I'm not really deep into the whole, oh, this character had a lot of development, this character had a lot of development. This is a contemporary, so there's not going to be much of any development. You just are who you are, mostly. But it was good. Next, I have 113 Things to Do by 13. And I read this book like a month before I turned 13, and half of these things I probably haven't done. Well, I've done a lot of them, but I haven't done all of them. And reading this book was one of the things, and I was like, why not? And I just thought it'd be cute to read, and I really liked it. And it has pictures in it and things like that, stuff like this. And it's just full color and all that jazz. It's really cool. I enjoyed it a lot. Next, one of the Heartbreakers here. Champion by Marie Lu. Now, if you've read the Legend trilogy, all of it, you will understand my pain. This book was just like, wow, that ending was like, I will not spoil anything for you. I will not. I refuse to spoil it. But oh my gosh, if you haven't read the Legend trilogy, read it now. But also another thing I don't like whenever I see reviews for dystopian stories or things with corrupt governments in the future and things like that, everybody always gives it bad reviews because they say it's not unique or it's not diverse. Well, first of all, who are you to judge? Have you written a book that's actually pretty good. You may or may not have, but most likely most of those people who give bad reviews haven't written anything. And second of all, like, don't bash on it too hard. I mean, if you don't like it, that's okay, and everyone can have their opinions. But just be nice about the way you say your opinions, especially on things like Goodreads and social media, or BookTube, in fact. I just don't believe in bashing an author's stuff online and just making as if that's okay. Because you know, if it was your story, you'd be able to take it, but you wouldn't want somebody just sit there and bash on you and things like that. Something you put so much work into. And it's really just, that's just my whole thing about dystopian. Like, people kind of ruined dystopian for me because I'm just recently now getting into it. And with everybody bashing on every dystopian except for like the Hunger Games or Divergent or something, like, nobody can write a dystopian series or trilogy without someone being like, oh, it's not unique, or oh, it's this, or oh, it's that. I'm just like, if you have so much complaints about dystopian, maybe you should stop reading dystopian. Come on now, get a clue. But you know, some people just aren't that way. Moving on, I have An Ember and Ashes by Saba Tahir, and this book was actually pretty good. I enjoyed the character development because there was quite a bit of character development, considering the fact this is a duology, I think, and just in the first book, there was a lot of character development, and the plot is moving forward, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go in the sequel, A Torch Against the Night. That is going to be really good. I'm super excited for this. It's just going to be great. But this book was wow. I really enjoyed it. And the characters, I liked most of the characters and things like that. And the world it was set in, this is actually pretty unique. And even though this is actually based off of ancient Rome, but at least that's what I've heard, and that's what the author said, I think. But it's just the whole background of this story and the characters and what it's like for these people. It's really interesting, and it's actually pretty different. Well, in its own way. Now, I have a very controversial book. And that is Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. So, first off, this is one of those books where, if you go on Goodreads and look for a review, some people will be like, oh, I loved it. Others will be like, oh, I hated it. People will be like, it's so many tropes or whatever. Honestly, I don't know what tropes are in here besides love triangle. But, you know, I haven't read 1,001 books, so. But anyway, I actually liked this book. I gave it 5 stars because it was really good. I liked the whole concept of the story, the main plot line with the powers and the blood divide and the royalty. I really enjoyed that. I feel like Mare needs to have some character development coming up because she didn't develop much in this story. I mean, she did what she had to do in the end, but like there wasn't much development that changed her, unlike in Ember and the Ashes where there was a lot of development. There wasn't much development in this, but it is a quartet, so that means there's going to be 4 books in the series, and so I'm thinking that by book 4, the end of book 2 or beginning of book 3, that she should be like completely changed from how she was in this book. And I feel if it goes that way, more people will be excited for this, because I don't know why some people don't like it, but I mean, then again, everyone has their opinions, but I just feel that this was a pretty good book, and it was really unique. And even though everybody hates love triangles, which I'm not really a fan of them either, but I don't mind them. It's not like, oh, it's the end of the world, but it's just kind of like whatever to me. And so, other than that, I think it's a pretty good book, and you should read it if you haven't already. But you know, it's been on BookTube for like ever, and it was popular, so you probably have. Alright, this is almost over. We got 2 more books to go, and then you'll know all my favorites. So, next is The Coldest Girl in Coldtown. And I have mentioned this book so many times in my videos, it's ridiculous. I love this book. This book was just like, this book was amazing. It was just thoroughly enjoyable, and the plot line was extremely unique. Nobody on this earth can say that The Coldest Girl in Coldtown was not unique. This is a unique book, especially from anything I've heard of in the YA world. This is unique. Now, there's vampires in it. There's Coldtown. There's just a bunch of stuff. Read the description and you'll understand. But just, this book is very dynamic. Like, I just feel that there's a lot told going on in this book, and that there's a lot of story and heart put into it. And I feel that this was a really good book, and that more people should talk about it and review it and just talk about it, really. But The Coldest Girl in Coldtown. Everybody, all my viewers, you need to read it. Finally, we have The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. And let me tell you, I started this book and I could not put it down. I read it in like a span of 2 days, I think, which is really good for me considering the fact how thick this book is. And I know it doesn't look thick, but it's got those Bible thin pages. And this book is like 400 something pages. How many? Hold up. It's like a lot of pages. 486 pages. It's basically 500 pages. So, yeah. And the ending was just like, oh, it drives you nuts. But luckily by the time I finished this book, the sequel was out. And I read the sequel, and that is just heart-wrenching. Oh my gosh. Rip your heart and soul out and spit on it, why don't you? Mary E. Pearson, she's a great writer. Just, wow. She knocked it out of the park for me on this book. And I'm excited for The Beauty of Darkness, which I'm upset it got pushed back to August 2nd, but you know, it could have been pushed back much farther. The cover is awesome, and I'm waiting to hear more about Leah's development. So I'm excited for that. And there you have it. Those are all my favorites of 2015 books for you all. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, give it a like down below. And if you want to see more of me and my books, feel free to subscribe. In the doobly-doo, I'll leave a link of my Goodreads so you can come friend me or whatever you want to do if you want. And yeah, see you guys later in my next video. Bye!